This is Chit and Chat, the encouraging one another podcast. Interviewing musicians, comedians, sports personalities, and many, many other individuals all over the world, sharing their story of encouragement, inspiration, what they've been through, what they've gone through, as well as amazing musicians from all over the world. Kick back and relax. For some amazing people you probably have never heard of and their story. Each of us have a story of hope, of courageousness, of inspiration. This is Chit and Chat, the encouraging one-on-one podcast. It's always about encouraging others.
Hello, and welcome to Chit and Chat, the encouraging one-on-one podcast. I'm your host, Jody Sheffield. Thank you for taking time out of a busy day to join us today. My guest today is from an episode I aired September 2022, and as I went back and listened to it again, I just believe his message is so powerful, so encouraging. But Derek Clark is back and sharing his story as he faced brutal child abuse and rejection at age 5 when his parents abandoned him. He's overcome countless challenges and faced some very hard times and difficult times. Fast forward till now, he is an inspirational speaker, author of 7 books, and become an internet sensation with his viral videos, The Rappin' Dad, with over 250 million views. I'm also featuring music by Mr. Craig Hendricks. His song Destination House, I really like this song. It's like a chill song with some really great lyrics. I'm working with getting him on the show. Also, Elizabeth Mary, now Schulter, married about a year ago, playing her song Breathe In Girl, and I truly believe her lyrics speak to people when they're going through difficult times and challenges and adversity. So, get back and relax. This is Chit and Chat, the encouraging one another podcast. That's always about encouraging others.
This is Craig Hendricks, Destination Home.
I don't remember the last 500 miles I just drove. To a cold and dark hotel room and a bed where I slept all alone. Maybe I'll dream about her before I wake and chase that sunrise down the road. Yeah, this chasing fame's been fun, but now I'm set on destination home. She's sleeping in her chair by the front door she left open wide. So she could hear the gravel crunch when I pulled up in that drive. She'll run out to meet me with a love like I've never known. Yeah, this chasing fame's been fun, but now I'm set on destination home. In a few days, I'll pack that old car back up and I'll go. Sing my song and play my music somewhere out there on the road. Till the last note of the last song on the last night of that last show. And I'll have no regrets, but now I'm set on destination home. Till the last note on the last song on the last night of that last show. There's something I won't forget, but now I'm set on destination home. On destination home.
That was Destination Home by Craig Hendricks. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're talking to Mr. Derek Clark, the Rapping Dad, and I'm excited to get his story and share a little bit about him. Before we dive into this great conversation, I'd like to ask 5 icebreaker questions. People ask me why 5. Well, this little portion of our podcast is brought to you by Tequiza. They have 5 kinds of tacos. Does your family eat a lot of tacos?
Yes, Taco Tuesday.
All right, question number 1 is, what was your first job and your worst job?
So my first job was a delivery driver for dental prosthetics, which is false teeth dentures.
Mhm.
So I would deliver those to the dentist offices. And I would say the worst, well, maybe the disgusting job was I was a respiratory technician working at a convalescent home, well, at a bunch of convalescent homes, skilled nursing facilities. And I would have to have them spit in a yellow tub so I could make sure that they didn't have any infection.
Oh,
And then determine how much oxygen they might need or so, you know.
yeah, that would be right up there.
Yeah.
How long you been married?
27 years.
Woo! Congratulations. We hit 29 this year.
Oh, awesome.
If I were to give you and your wife a 2-week vacation anywhere in the world, where are you guys going?
Bora Bora, probably.
Ooh. Been there before?
No, but she would like to go somewhere very tropical like that.
Question number 3 is, what scene in a movie always gives you goosebumps when you watch it?
Yes. It was that Matt Damon movie. Hold on one second. I'm Googling as we're talking. What was that? That first movie?
Multitasking.
Yeah. Well, it was his first big breakout movie. Oh, Good Will Hunting.
Okay.
Yeah, Good Will Hunting, where he's just basically all the walls are up and he's ready to just, he's so upset at his life. And every time I watch it, I get these goosebumps. 'Cause I grew up in foster care and I understand about no one, believing in you. So yeah, Good Will Hunting. That's a Robin Williams movie with him. That was a great.
Everything he did, Robert Williams did, I really liked.
Yes.
When is your most relaxing time? Early in the morning or later in the evening when the kids are all settled? What's a good time that you can just kick back and relax?
Late at night.
You're kind of a stargazer? How you sitting outside watching the stars?
No, I'm more of a play music and decompress.
Okay.
Well, I'm not decompressing right now when I'm watching The Terminal List.
That's a good series. I just finished watching it.
Yeah, I'm on the last episode. I'm like, man, this is killer. So this is good.
I did watch them all in like 2 days.
yeah, I know, totally. I like to stretch things out,
Okay.
like I totally, but I wait till all the episodes are out,
Yep.
and
Yep.
then that's what I am, like Game of Thrones and Vikings and all that stuff. And so I'll wait till a bunch of episodes are out, then I stretch it out every day or every few days or when I'm in the airplane. But yeah, Terminal List, I love it. It's not politically correct.
What are some of your favorite snacks?
I would say the toffee peanuts, ice cream, and my wife's cookies and caramels and stuff like that.
Yeah, caramel sounds amazing.
Well, you know what else I like is my friend turned me on to it is hot tamales mixed with Mike and Ike's. I really like that. So
Wow.
I buy a bag of each and I mix them together in a plastic bag or a bowl, and then it's like spicy and sweet.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
Have to see the family wants to try that sometime.
Yeah.
As I prepare for this interview and reading about you and watching your video clips, I would say it was probably one of the most difficult podcasts I had to prepare for, because I never know anyone who'd face so many challenges and adversity in which you would face in your younger years. And I'm excited to talk to you today. And my podcast is based off of 1 Thessalonians 5:11, which says, encourage one another and lift each other up. And to be honest with you, I must have been on a rock. I didn't know who the Rapping Dad was till I found you in a Google search on encouraging people and people who inspired others. And I found the listing, Derek Clark, Rapping Dad. I'm like, why not try and reach out? So thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Would you mind giving our listeners a brief bio about yourself?
Yeah, so basically I came in this world through hell, through the darkness, through the shadows of very evil situation. And so my mom had been sexually abused by men in her past, and she had been raped and stuff, and she had gone through a lot, and this man forced himself on her, and she got pregnant with me. And he said, you better go get an abortion. If you don't get an abortion, I'll kill the kid myself. So 3 months, no abortion, 6 months, no abortion. At 7 months pregnant, she's waitressing at a restaurant in San Diego, California, doing her job, waiting tables. And my dad, almost 6'5", comes into that restaurant in a fit of rage because she hadn't gotten rid of me. And at 7 months, you got a nice bump there, and I'm enjoying myself and the amniotic fluid and the warmth of my mother's womb. And my dad, in a fit of rage, grabs my mother by her long blonde hair, whiplashes her to the floor, and continues to stomp on her stomach over and over again. And I lived, and I always tell audiences all the time that God has a way of taking broken pieces and turning them into masterpieces. And people ask me all the time, what's the meaning of life? And I always tell them the meaning of life is to give your life meaning. The secret of living is giving. What are you contributing to this world? So from there, I was brutally abused for till about almost 5 years old, from my mom, my stepdad, my biological dad. Then we were homeless, living in a park. And then my mom and my stepdad had enough of me. And I have an older sister and a younger brother, but they decided to load me up in a car and take a big drive and get to a big building. And we walk in this building, and my mom and my stepdad are talking to people, and all of a sudden the guy in a white coat says, Derek, come with me. And I look at my mom, and I don't ever remember my mom saying, I love you, or I'm coming back for you, or you just need a little help. No, she abandoned me, her own biological son, at a psychiatric facility. And that's where I would stay. And I don't know if you've ever been to a psych facility, especially as a little kid. They do lots and lots of tests on you. I have copies of my psychiatric evaluations, my neurological evaluations, my psychological exams, my speech and language evaluations. And they had given me so many labels, so many diagnoses. And then after I was done there, they shipped me off to a shelter for unadoptable kids. So they got a shelter for adoptable kids, but the unadoptable kids was in a building behind the Juvenile Youth Detention Center. And that's where I would stay, and I would wait, and I would wait, and I would wait for a home that would take a high-level kid like me And my dad went to prison for many things, but my mom had 3 kids from 3 different men, and just everybody's got a story, Jody. That's the thing. And I used to be so hard on my mom. uh I don't really know her or anything, but I haven't talked to her in years, but I would be so hard. Why would she give up on her kid, and da 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 da, all these things, right? Because you have all these why me's in your head.
Mm-hmm.
And what you realize is later on life, those why me's, why never get answered to your satisfaction. 99% of the time, they're putting you in pity mode. Poor me, poor me, poor me. And I started getting outside of myself at 30 years old and realizing that maybe my mom's got a story. We talk about generational curses, generational cycles. Well, my mom is one of 6 kids that grew up very poor, and she ran away at 14 years old, dropped out of high school as a freshman, and went to a lot of bad men that abused her like her dad. And so it's very sad. So I learned to build this compassion muscle and this empathy muscle. But what I did at the same time was learn to divorce my story
Mm-hmm.
from victim to victor. Like looking at my life and go, holy cow, look what I have overcome. And my mom couldn't destroy me, and my stepdad couldn't destroy me, and my dad couldn't destroy me. Man, the only one destroying me is me. And I
Right.
was tired of letting the inner me become the enemy. So I decided I was going to start taking responsibility for the direction of my life. And then my life started to transform from why me, right? So I always substitute words. I'm a big substitute of words. But from why me to what now? What now? That puts you in this moment. Why me puts you in the past. So when I started to establish myself in living in this moment, and of course I had so much PTSD. You understand that, being a veteran yourself, how many veterans have PTSD?
Yeah.
And so, we have it at I think it's a 5 times higher rate than veterans, because we're little kids and we don't know how to process those things.
Yeah.
And so, and those things just, they weigh on you for years and years and years, and you still don't know how to process it, because you're stuck as that little 5-year-old kid, sometimes emotionally and mentally. And so I had to go through a lot of PTSD therapy called EMDR and eye movement desensitization reprocessing, a lot of psychiatric, all this stuff to get to where I am, to be on the phone with you today. But yeah, no, it was a dark, dark time. And then I started to be like Rocky Balboa from the Rocky movies. Dun, 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 dun. And I kept picking myself off the floor after being knocked down in this freaking life. And I was done. And so I started to learn the tools, how to be a better person, how to be more defensive, how to be more offensive, how to not just get always knocked down and stay down and play the poor me card.
Right.
And I started to turn that pity into power, brother. Pity into power. And then everything started to transform.
How many foster parent families did you go through until you finally found a family who wanted you and who cared about you and who loved you?
Yeah, I believe it was only 6 placements, which was nice, where generally, a lot of people get placed for, 15, 20 times. Even I've met some people 30 times, so but I would stay at that facility, for almost 200 days. I think I have the documentation where I was there at least 118 days, but I know I was there longer, but I have some of the files. So, but yeah, I mean, you're just waiting.
And when did you get to a point where you felt safe and having a foundation for parents who really cared about you?
It takes years, man. It's trust, even though I was in a great foster home with love, that doesn't mean that all of a sudden my life just changed. Because those first 5, 6 years of your life are the most formidable. That's where you learn, a lot of, 90% of your brain is developed at almost 6 years old. So if you're living in fear, and you're just scared all the time, and you're used to rejection and abandonment, unfortunately, it doesn't all of a sudden just go away when you get a loving home, because you're always in fear that they're going to reject you and that they're not going to want you.
Right. The one time you screw up or one time you do something stupid.
Yeah. You're going to get rid of me. You're going to get rid of me, huh? You're going to get rid of me, and you're going to call a social worker. You're going to get rid of me. I messed up. I understand. I'm out of here. And so it would take thousands of healing experiences like that where they didn't give up. Honestly, they had to prove themselves. It was a test.
While in school, you started rapping. You were a sophomore. Was rapping helping you create and express yourself? Is that how you really started into the rapping?
Yes. I became a rapper towards the end of my sophomore year. My freshman and most of my sophomore year, I was a skater punk. And so I had this haircut that was like a horns, shaved on the side, shaved on the center of my head, and then shaved on the other side. And then I had these huge orange horns. And then I was hanging out with one of my best friends, Arlen, and African-American kid. And I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area, so a lot of cultural melting pot there. So a lot of African American, a lot of Hispanic, Samoan, Tongan, Filipino, and stuff. And so I'm at the school called Hayward High, and I'm hanging out with my one of my best friends, and I see a bunch of people over in the corner at lunchtime going, ho, 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 and they're raising their hands and they're getting crazy. And I'm like, dude, there's a fight over there. And he goes, no, that's not a fight. They're doing battles. And so I walk over there with him and I see something that changes my life forever. I see two guys battling each other, not fighting with their fists, but fighting with their mouths, their tongues. And I thought, what if I could use my tongue like a weapon instead of my fists? Because my fists were always getting me in trouble.
Right.
And so I said, hey, let me battle I want to fight. And they go, nah, D, you white, you can't do that. And I couldn't battle. I sucked. But I knew without a shadow of a doubt that I did not want to be a skater punk anymore. I wanted to be a rapper because I got so much rage, so much resentment, so much bitterness, so much anger that my fists were always getting me in trouble at school. What if I could use my mouth as a weapon? And so I started learning how to rap, man. I started learning how to syncopate, how to have rhythm, how to stretch out my vowels, how to find the right words that, will rhyme and then have rhythm. And it took about a year. And then I started getting this rhythm and I would write. What is rap? It's poetry. We call it flowetry.
Right.
And it's just these poems in a way. And I'm not into rap these days as much as I'm in the rap, the old school from the late 80s and 90s, where it was always generally about the struggle or a story. A lot of rap these days are not about stories or survival or struggles. It's about popping a Percocet or a Molly or whatever. And so I just started writing all the dark stuff of my life to get the inside crap out, basically, to get the inside out, because it's not doing me any good inside there. It's just compounding to get me more angrier and angrier. So I started writing and writing. And then my friend turned me on to a reggae mixtape. He gave me a reggae mixtape of Lucky Dube, Peter Tosh, Yellow Man, Bob and Ziggy Marley. And I started to vibe to reggae.
Oh, wow.
And I thought, what if I could mix reggae with rap? And then in one of my battles, I did something like, I'll be there thinking of it, and people were like, what did you just do there? And then I realized I had a gift. My tongue moved quick, and I could do like tongue twisting and double time and triple time, and I could talk fast. And I thought, what if I could apply that to rap, but give it a reggae flow? So then I would do something like this. Well, I'll be the ripping, I'm thinking I'm taking my time. I'll be the ripping and thinking I'm making it, sucking, I'm making it, kicking it with the time. And then I would switch it reggae. Is a man that want to feel, thinking I'm making it, sucking, I'm making it, kicking it with the tails. I'm with the feel like I'm nothing is impossible. And then everything changed, and those girls are like, that white boy is fine. And everything changed. And that was the birth of Mr. Diamond D.
What did you add your niche of encouraging vibes to it? As you slowly got out of your anger part and adding encouragement, when was that transition?
Man, that was when I was mature. That was in my 30s. I would write stuff in my 20s, but no, it was, it was hardcore, just about pain. I mean, before Eminem came out, I always told people, this was what it was about, because we had Vanilla Ice and Marky Mark and all these other things, but it was all light. Mine was more emo, dark, I guess you might say, and just about the struggles of my life. And then when Eminem came out, I'm like, that's me. That's what happened there? That's supposed to be me. And then Eminem blew up and it was over. So. But and I took a long break, probably close to 8-9 years from rap hip hop because it just wasn't working out. But I would still use it as a therapy for me, where I would write, right, and it would just be in poetic form. And then I was rapping in the car with my kids one day when I was about, man, it was about 7-8 years ago, maybe about 7 years ago. And I am just rhyming in the car with my kids on the way to tennis, taking us to a tennis clinic at the country club. And we're driving down this rural road, and it's this video that you can see on YouTube called "Can Your Dad Do This?" or "Can Your Dad Rap?" or "Can Your Dad Do This?" I think it's called.
Okay.
And it got like 1,000 views because we put it on YouTube, and we're like, "Oh my gosh, this is awesome!" And then it got like 6,000, 7,000 views, and we're like, "We're viral!" Right? We're like, "This is awesome!" And then it sat, no joke, Jody, it sat for 6 months at about 7,000 views, and it just sat. And then all of a sudden, I get some messages saying, "You better monetize your video. Your video just went viral." And I'm like, "What?" And I checked my video, and it's like 10,000. And somebody wrote, "It just went viral on Reddit."
Wow.
And then it went 20,000, then 50,000. We're watching it just go up. We're just all so excited. Then 100,000. We're like, "Holy cow!" And then it just started going and going, and then it went all over social media, but that was the birth of, the rapping dad in a way. And then I kept putting out videos because people wanted it. Then I set up a Facebook page a few years ago, and people are like, "Oh, we love your connection with your kids, and you guys are rapping." And then I put out this one video just a couple years ago, and Shaquille O'Neal saw that and tweeted, "What's up, empty soccer dad?" And then all of a sudden I'm on Tosh Point oh, comedian, he's calling me cool dad, a dorkily cool dad, like all these things. It's just taking off. All these celebrities are sharing it. And then Steve Harvey brings me on the show a few years ago and coins the phrase "rapping dad" for me. And then that was pretty much it. So
yeah, I saw a video of you and your buddies in your living room rapping. Is rapping contagious in the Clark household?
Well, not as much, because we'll listen to country, we listen to rock. I mean, we're very eclectic in our music, but sometimes we'll just, when I'm bringing out the guitar or something, we'll just mess around. But no, I listen to everything. So our family listens to everything. So it's not just a hip hop family.
You were the first one in your family to graduate high school. What was that like for you?
Yeah, that was pretty tough to graduate. I had been expelled out of high school my senior year for violence at school, and I turned 18. I had gotten held back in school, unfortunately, and so I was 18 August. And so I was 18 my whole school year, and so they were tired. I've been suspended over and over again, so I got in this bad episode with teachers and stuff. So I got expelled. And then I had to go through a 3-day course on understanding my rage and my anger, and then I got reinstated back in high school in March. The social services and my foster parents got the county involved, and they worked it out where I could stay back and go back in school. But the last 2 periods I would have to spend in the assistant principal's office because the teachers didn't want me. So I would do my schoolwork in the assistant principal's office, and it was known I was not going to graduate. I mean, my GPAs, I show my high school transcripts for my audiences sometimes, and my GPAs are 1.67, 1.79, 1.74, all the way to 2.06, which I had a girlfriend at that time, and she helped me with my schoolwork, but I guess she wasn't that smart either. I don't know. But I remember that my guidance counselor saying to me, "You're not going to graduate, Derek." And I go, "Oh yeah, I know." So we didn't order caps, gowns, tassels. I wasn't invited to senior picnic or senior Disney trip or anything like that because of my violent issues and being suspended and expelled and all that stuff. So, and my foster parents were already new, so I felt like I wasn't in trouble. And I was talking to a couple friends. "Hey, you guys going to walk the stage?" And they're like, "Yeah, we're going to walk the stage." "You guys are going to graduate?" And I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "Yeah, we're going to graduate." I'm like, "No, stay back with me. Stay back with me." And they're like, "No, man, my parents will get me, so I got to graduate, D." And so it started pushing me. And I remember my guidance counselor saying to me,
Derek, you know you're not going to graduate. I go, I don't care. And then she goes like this. She yells at me, what are you going to do with your life, Derek? What are you going to do with your life? You're better than this. You're better than this. She kept saying, and it just reverberated in my brain for like 2 weeks of Mrs. Jones saying, you're better than this. And then like Rocky Balboa, you know, getting back up, I'm like, I'm going to start working. I'm going to put in the work. And do you know, about a week before I graduated, or maybe it was about 2 weeks or something, because we graduated back then in June.
Right.
And Mrs. Jones and Mrs. Lloyd, assistant principal, bring me in. Well, they come in my office. They come in her office and they say, Derek, you need to have a seat. Please sit down. We have some news we have to share with you. And they're very serious. And I'm like, what is going on? And I'm like, Miss Jones, I've been good. Whatever I do outside of high school doesn't count, but in high school, I'm good. And she's like, no, Derek, sit down. And I sit down and I'm like frustrated because I'm going to be in trouble again. And then they both look at me and smile. And Mrs. Jones says, you did it, Derek. You did it. You're going to graduate high school. You did it. And I remember calling my foster mom my foster mom says, what? And she's crying. I go, Mom, stop crying. I need a cap and gown now. And so she's like, okay, don't worry about it. When you get home, we'll check the Halloween box. And I'm like, what? So I get home and she goes, your colors are black robes, right? Black caps. And I go, yeah. She goes, oh, I know I can make something out of a Dracula cape. And I'm like, what? So, but we eventually find my foster brother's cap and gown, and he's like 5'9" or something. I'm 6'5", and I wear that gown like a mini skirt, and I walk that stage, and I'm the first one in my family in generations to ever graduate high school. Wow. So I'm the first one, even though the GPAs aren't good, but it's free falling for generations, and all of a sudden, bam. You know, it's 1.98 or 1.83 or 2.01 or 2.06. I don't remember what my final GPA was, but my cumulative GPA sucked, but I did it. And then I went off to college, and I show that transcript too, that I'm put on academic probation at 1.86 GPA. So I could never snap out of that 1 point something GPA. So finally I dropped out.
What's your favorite word? I've watching some videos. You have a word, right? A really favorite word you like to share?
Yeah, my favorite word, in fact, I share it in my TED Talk called The Power of Determination. It's not about your IQ, it's about your I will. So my favorite word is tenacity. Persistent determination, never giving up, stick to it, you know? So that's been my life.
You didn't let your past define you, but you prepared for it. Sometimes I believe kids get stuck in the I can't mode, and they perhaps run when adversity, challenges come their way. Any words for someone going through adversity and challenges in life?
Say that question one more time, please.
Any words on someone facing adversity and challenges in life right now?
Yeah, any words. Okay, yeah. So I love that quote from Zig Ziglar from years and years and years ago. And fear, because a lot of people live in fear. I mean, we're pumped fear all the time from the news, from social media, from movies, from everything's programming us, right? So it's a lot of us are susceptible to fear and anxiety. And I love the quote from Zig Ziglar, the acronym for fear. There's 2 acronyms for fear. The first one is fear, F-E-A-R, right? Forget everything and run. And the second acronym for fear that I adopted in my life is face everything and rise. So that's what I'm all about. Is that fear? What's the opposite of fear? Faith, right? So I have faith in God. I have faith in myself. I believe in myself that I can accomplish anything because look what I have overcome. And I'm still alive to this day. So I tell audiences all the time to never limit your life. Live beyond your self-perceived limits and do not let the inner me become the enemy, because your brain is wired for survival mode. And so it wants to help you survive, but it pumps fear in you and pumps anxiety and says, oh, you shouldn't do this. That's too scary. Don't do this. And I'm telling you to override your brain a lot of the times, because your brain doesn't want you to do those, to grow. Basically, it wants to protect you.
Right.
So I am all about living beyond your self-perceived limits, pushing yourself every day. Push yourself.
As you speak to people and kids of all ages, I truly believe you are bringing more hope to the people who are going through trials. I believe you're inspiring so many people and helping them through the tough times. How did you overcome adversity day by day, year by year? Was one day at a time?
Yeah. It's the grind, man. One day at a time, 1 hour at a time, 1 minute at a time, 1 second at a time. Even like Mel Robbins, that great author, her big whole thing is like, facing through things, right? Do like a rocket ship, count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and just do it. Just do it. And that's the thing, is you got to push yourself every second. So, you can take a break. You can definitely take a break, but things that you have habits, you have routines or patterns that are not healthy for you. That's the first thing I tell audiences all the time. When you sit on your bed or when you're alone with your thoughts, you know what you need to work on. You know what addictions you need to work on. You know what patterns, what habits, how you talk to people. Are you disrespectful? Do you yell a lot? Do you cuss a lot at your kids? Do you spend, like all these things, right? So you know what you need to work on. You can't lie to yourself. You can lie to other people around you, but you know what you need to work on. And it's tough. And so you have to work on it every second or every minute and catch yourself. And the best way sometimes is to go get therapy and to learn new patterns and new techniques and new tools and on how to overcome those things. Sometimes you just can't do it alone. You got to get someone else's help, and sometimes reading a book or watching documentaries or joining a special group at church or seeing a psychiatrist or psychologist or your school counselor or someone like that just gives you a little extra oomph to keep pushing. Because a lot of people want to zone out. They want to numb out. They want to smoke their weed, numb out. They want to drink and get blitz and numb out and not feel. And generally, when you come off those highs and you come off your being buzzed or drunk, you're back in the real freaking world with the same problems. And sometimes it accelerates the problems even more. So I'm all about just pushing through your crap. The only way through hell is to get through it, to keep walking through it. Because on the other side of your pain is your purpose, man. People say, oh, Derek, you give so much hope. And I always say, well, I'm like a hope dealer, not a dope dealer, not a dream stealer, a hope dealer, right? And I came up with an acronym for hope in my TED Talk called Helping One Person Every Day. And when you get beyond one person, then hope can be helping other people excel. And that's how you really help yourself too, is getting outside of yourself and helping other people. Then you realize, holy cow, there's a lot of people that have it worse than me, because sometimes we go in that pity mode and poor me, poor me. But that old parable that says, I complained I had no shoes until I met a man who had no feet. And it opens up your perspective. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You said in the quote, we're all born with a bag of concrete and water. Can you explain this?
Yes. So that's a quote from Jeffrey Gitomer. I wish it was my quote, but I love the quote. All of us are born with a bag of concrete and a bucket of water, 5-gallon bucket of water. Are you going to build stepping stones or obstacles? It's all a choice, man. Everything is a choice. How you look at your life. Do you look at your life as a blessing? And guess what that attracts? More positive and blessings? Or do you look at your life as cursed and negative? And what do you think that attracts? So how you think you shall become, right? How you think you shall become.
Can you tell us about your website, iwillnevergiveup.com?
Yes. iwillnevergiveup.com. There's lots of information, lots of articles. But, it really comes down to all of us have an inner wound from our childhood. Generally, most of us have an inner wound. And we haven't rescued that little boy or girl yet sometimes. And so then that goes into our adulthood. And then what you might have used as survival techniques as a kid are not healthy as a parent or as an adult or as an employee or as a boss or as a coworker or as a friend. And so I always challenge people to keep working on yourself. Don't numb out. Don't zone out. Keep working to make the rest of your life the best of your life, to become better and not bitter.
You're author of 7 books. Can you share about some of those?
Yeah. So if my English teacher could see me now. So yeah, I've written I Will Never Give Up. I Will Never Give Up on God Again. I Will Never Give Up for the Teenager. And then some great fictional fantasy books about my life based on true events. But then I turned it into a crazy fictional fantasy and made it even crazier. And then a book for educators and psychologists and social workers, anybody working with kids, it's called Disable the Label. Never Limit the Potential of a Child. And I'm the co-author with Shelley on that.
And you mentioned you have faith. When did you realize that God loved you and that God was there for you every step of the way?
Yeah, so that was about 36 years old, I believe. And I had a very spiritual experience that just changed my whole life, where I felt like I heard God's voice that says, Derek, I never abandoned you. You abandoned me. And then my life just went reflected backwards, and I could see everywhere that he rescued me. And that story is in I Will Never Give Up on God Again, from feeling abandoned by God to feeling embraced by God.
Okay. Does that help you every day, knowing that God's there for you now? As you teach your kids and you share what you've gone through, that God's there for you every step of the way. Sometimes you forget that part.
Yeah, and sometimes you're like, wow, you left me again. Okay, buddy. Because sometimes it goes dark. And I have to tell you this, Jody, because I tell this to audiences, especially Christian audiences, that even Jesus felt alone.
Mm-hmm.
He did in the Garden of Gethsemane. Father, take this cup from me, bleeding from every pore. But even let's go further. The cross. He's hanging on the cross. And he's yelling out, my God, why has thou forsaken me? He's feeling so alone on that cross. But we know there was a bigger plan, and we know that he wasn't alone. But even Jesus, the most perfect man walking on this earth, had felt alone. So I'm pretty normal when you feel like you're in a dark period where God is not there, but he really is there. He knows your plan. But even Jesus felt alone. So we're feeling pretty normal as long as you remember the bigger picture.
Yeah.
I feel like God is not blessing me, or I feel God is not rescuing me out of this crap. And I guess I shouldn't use those two words together, but okay. But like, he's not rescuing me. Where are you, God? Where are you, God? I've said that many times, even after writing the book, right? Like, where are you? I felt you. Where are you now?
Right.
And so, but you have to remember his son, his own son that he gave to this world, felt alone as well.
Yeah.
So I have to remember that I felt that I'm pretty normal.
When you got the call to be on shows like NBC and CBS and the Steve Harvey Show, what was your first, reaction? Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, no, totally. Is this real? Is this real? So yeah. And then I had a company from the UK come over, and they did a taping. I live in Idaho. And they did a taping. They flew all the way to Idaho, and then they put that show, I think, in 140 or 170 countries, something like.
Wow.
And Dad was going worldwide after that. That was crazy. So yeah, no, it's insane how, I'm just this dad rapping, but I keep it clean and it's fun and the kids have a good time. But I would have never thought it would take off, but it gave me another platform, because before then I was still a motivational speaker, inspirational speaker, trainer and such. But this just opened up. This was like the cherry on top. This was just it opened it up worldwide.
I love the quote you said. It might come from you or somebody else, but I have friends and family who really this quote helps them. I think never let your past infect your future. Your best days are ahead of you.
Yeah, so that is my quote. Never let your past infect your future. That is my quote. Thank you. Yeah, because a lot of us live in our past, and that's our prison.
Yeah.
And then you're not living in the moment. You're not living in the now. I love that book by Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now. And you're not living in this moment. So many of us live in the future. I'll be happy when, or when I get there. Or so many of us live in the past, and I'll be happy when my mom says I'm sorry, or whatever. So it's just, you got to live in the now. There's nothing I can do to change the past. And I've tried. I tried to have a good relationship with my mom when I met her 25 years later and stuff like that. But you realize that you can't make up for the past and you can't change the past. The only thing you can do is reflect on this second and change your pattern and change your way of thinking in this second.
A lot of kids think it's generational. My dad was an alcoholic. I'll be alcoholic, or fill in the blank. And I think stopping that generational thing, you be your own person. You guys got a plan for you.
Right. That's it. And unfortunately, it's going to take a lot of effort if you are the son of an alcoholic or, abusive parents or, parents that have been in prison or have substance abuses or were molested and such like that. Right. So it's going to take a lot for you to want to break the cycle. You can have the desire, like I want to break the cycle, but it takes action. Knowledge isn't enough. People say knowledge is power. No, action is power. There's a lot of people that are really smart with doctorates and masters that don't take action. I meet them all the time and coach because they don't take the action. They have the knowledge. They just don't apply it. And so that's the key, is applying what you know. A lot of people know what to do. They don't do what they know. Right. Let me say that again. A lot of people know what to do. They don't do what they know. And so you want to break cycles? That's how you start doing it, is you have that desire to take action, and then you take action.
So many times, as we get to wrap up here, so many times when someone asks someone how they're doing, most of the time our answer is, I'm good, or I'm fine. I picture the iceberg in the water. A little bit's out of the water, but a lot's in the water.
Yep.
How do you help someone with some words, to comfort them, to ensure them, hey, it's okay, we're here for you, or fill in the blank?
Yeah. So the key is everybody's got a story.
Yep.
And a lot of people wear 20 different masks a day, and they don't share their vulnerability. If humans were more vulnerable, we would empower so many people. We live this fake life. A lot of people live fake lives for their social media, and it's this highlight reel and everything's good and everything. But the fact is a lot of things aren't good for all those that show the highlight reel. And so, 50-60% of this life sucks. Maybe 80% of the life sucks a lot of time. And so here's how you help people, is you don't try to be perfect to other people. You share your vulnerability, because your story, like your story, Jody, my story, your story could be the prison key that unlocks them, the master key that unlocks for them their own self-imprisonment in their head. A lot of us are in our own self-imprisonment, right? But then we meet somebody that opens up our eyes and goes, holy cow, look what you've been through. And in the age of social media, a lot of people don't want to share this stuff, but how did all of our ancestors learn? How did all of our elders learn? From stories. And those stories of overcoming empower other people. I'm a busy speaker, and what do? I share my story and I share tools, but people relate to my story. My brother was killed, when I was 16, 17 years old. My sister had been shot and killed. My brother had been killed, and my good friend had been shot and killed. So I understand about murder. I understand about death. I understand about rejection, abandonment, and such. But imagine if I did not keep my story. Imagine if I kept my story to myself. That's what I want to say. Imagine if I kept my story to myself, I would not have been able to help the tons of people that I've been able to plant a seed into. And then they find their determination, their perseverance, their persistence, their endurance, their integrity, their self-love. And it's just a seed I plant, but it's based upon me as a human sharing a human story. The hero's journey, right? Really, it's all about the hero's journey, like Superman, like all these Marvel. It's all about the pain that they endured early on, or they were orphaned and they have all these issues, but then they use that power for good, or they could have used the power to be a villain. So, but they were generally, somebody helped them harness that power and use it for good. And that's what I do. I'm that hope dealer. And so that hope dealer, I should have a superhero cape, hope dealer, but I'm that hope dealer that goes out there and shares that story of vulnerability, but also victory. And it plants the seeds. And that's how you help a lot of people, is by being vulnerable and being real, but also not playing the poor me card, but also showing them the powerful card that you can be a victor.
Right. Derek, thank you so much for this opportunity, and may God continue to bless you and your family and the many people, young and old, you speak to in person and your videos. I just wish you nothing but the best, and grateful that we had this opportunity to talk, and just God bless you and all you do. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. And if anybody want to get a hold of me, you can always reach me at Rapping Dad, RAPPING DAD on all social media, or like Jody said, my website earlier, IWillNeverGiveUp.com.
You got able to give me a little encouraging rap before you roll out?
Yeah, let's see. Okay, let's something like this. So here's a few lessons that I've learned. I've turned a mess into a message and earned a return. I've turned scars into stars, live like avatars. No one can stop you if you believe in your heart. And this is your life. Go and own it. Never let the past infect your future for a moment. Never let a weakness destroy your greatness. It's time to profess. You're too blessed to be stressed. Bam! You could be everything you want to be, but never let the enemy be your enemy. It's time to be better and not bitter. It's a choice to be a winner, and it's a choice to be a quitter. So if you've been knocked down or thought about suicide, get out of the shadows and hold your head high, because this is your time. And this is your sign. Get up and climb. You were born for this moment to shine. Get up and climb. You were born for this moment to shine. Get up and climb. You were born for this moment to shine. Peace out, Jody.
Ladies and gentlemen, Derek Clark, the Rapping Dad. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I want to take a few minutes and thank each of my sponsors. From day one, these sponsors have been along this side, and more are being part of this podcast. I love sharing about locally owned businesses here in the area, in my backyard, and how important it is to share about them. But thank you, Lone Star Donuts. They have 3 businesses, Port Orchard, Soberdale, and Poulsbo. Amazing tasting, fresh donuts every day. Tequiza and Tequiza Street, Roberto and his staff are amazing people, and they have the freshest tasting authentic Mexican food around and really good breakfast burritos. Don's and Dylan's Double D's Barbecue and Smokery. Great tasting barbecue, falls off the bone. They're amazing in the area, and a great tasting food truck. Alex Pablo, who goes above and beyond helping out businesses with menu redesign and helps them expand. Thank you. 19th Hole Bar and Grill, a great place and a fun atmosphere for great tasting food. Fish and chips, steak night, Taco Tuesday. Go by and check them out. Chico Chicken and Pizza. Best tasting fried chicken around, and amazing tasting pizza and specialty subs. Thank you for being part of this podcast. The Big Apple Diner. When you pull in that driveway and you see the decor, it takes you back to 1950, and their amazing decor and great tasting breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and 30 kinds of milkshakes are to die for.
and the Dandelion Sticker Company. Amanda, single mom, brought an idea, now a vision and reality, making awesome stickers, hats, decals. So you want to expand your business? Check her out. Dandelion Sticker Company. Thank you for being part of this podcast. Also, on the chitandchatpodcast.com page, you go to each business, click on them, order from them, check them out. They're great businesses here in the area, and I love teaming up with them and looking forward to teaming up with other businesses as well that support local businesses. Thank you for being part of the Chit and Chat Encouraging One Another podcast. Encouraging fun conversations and amazing music every Wednesday here on Chit and Chat, the Encouraging One Another podcast.
This is Breathe In Girl by Elizabeth Mary.
If I could find a map to take me far from here, see the bridges burning in the rearview mirror, I'd be 0 to 60 in an old passing zone, ready for this long trip alone. Breathe in, girl, breathe out, girl, take a look around. This life's too short to get caught up in the same old tune. People will talk and say what they're gonna say. Hate is for the ending, but you're gonna be okay. Just when you think you can't take anymore, breathe in, girl. There's an open road with no end in sight. Don't have to solve these problems tonight. I just need somewhere to lay my head, forever haunted by the words you said. Breathe in, girl, breathe out, girl, take a look around. This life's too short to get caught up in the same old tune. People will talk and say what they're gonna say. Hate is for the ending, but you're gonna be okay. Just when you think you can't take anymore, breathe in, girl. Breathe in, girl, breathe out, girl, take a look around. This life's too short to get caught up in the same old tale. People will talk and say what they're gonna say. Hate is for the ending, but you're gonna be okay. Just when you think you can't take anymore, breathe in, girl. Breathe in, girl. Just can't take it, just can't take it, just can't take it, no. Just can't take it, just can't take it, just can't take it, no.
That was Elizabeth Mary, Breathe In Girl.
Thank you for joining the Chit and Chat Encouraging One Up podcast today. My guest was Mr. Derek Clark. You can check out his website at IWillNotGiveUp.com. Thank you to Craig Hendricks and Elizabeth Mary. Let me share the music. You can check out their websites at CraigHendricksMusic.com and ElizabethMaryMusic.com. Please subscribe and follow the podcast. You can find us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and many other podcasting platforms, as well as my website, ChitChatPodcast.com. Every Wednesday, new episodes, great music from artists from all over the world. Chit Chat, the encouraging one another podcast. It's always about encouraging others. Have a great day. Talk to you next week.
This is Chit and Chat, the encouraging one another podcast. It's always about encouraging others.